This morning, Jen woke up, made 3 breakfasts, did 2 loads of laundry, and 1 conference call. But she also saved $25 because Jen uses a new innovation from Huntington called Money Scout. It analyzes Jen's checking account to find money that's not being used and moves it to her savings automatically. Learn more and enroll at huntington.com/moneyscout. Huntington. Welcome. Message and data rates may apply to text alerts. Money Scout is subject to eligibility, terms and conditions, and other account agreements. Member FDIC.
Your product, faced with hard luck. Faced with hard luck. Card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. Pimps and card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. Your product, faced with hard luck. Faced with hard luck. Card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck. Pimps and card shots, thieves, murderers with hard luck.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Hard Luck Show. I'm your certified, qualified West Side host, Steve Lucky Luciano. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you've tuned into the greatest show on earth. It's the Hard Luck Show, coming at you from the bunker in Southern California. Sitting across from me, my co-host, my partner
is Chumahan Bone, American Indian, Southern Californian, elegant barbarian, here to tell some fucking savage stories once again. Come on! Come on! Come on!
Yeah!
Woo! Yeah! Come on! Yeah!
And on sound, Blue Eyes himself.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Sean Lewis, certified audio professional.
Oh shit!
Engineer for the Hard Luck Show.
Yeah! Man! Is that where you're at today?
That's yeah.
Yeah!
I'm feeling like a Beverly Hills cop.
Yeah! Woo! That's right. Eddie Murphy, like hanging on the chains.
Yeah, stuffing fucking bananas and tailpipes.
I ain't gonna be falling for no banana in a tailpipe.
Trick, yeah.
Yeah, Pointer Sisters, right?
Right.
Isn't that the Pointer Sisters?
Man.
They got hits too.
They do got hits. They got hits upon hits upon hits.
Talking about hits upon hits upon hits. We got
It's
a
been
wonderful
a while.
guest, and it's been a while. We've got a guest.
The guest
coming
of
on.
guests.
Guest of guests coming on to update us. Been a minute. Been a while.
Yeah.
Let's invite the creator of Caveman Coffee, the mixed martial arts professional fighter,
The Stuntman.
the professional actor and stuntman you may have seen in multiple films.
The Philosopher King.
Philosopher King.
The man of a strong dwarfen beard.
The Mandalorian. Mr. Tait Fletcher!
Gentlemen, it's such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah!
Come on. Come on. Yeah.
Damn, that...
Right?
Let me tell you listeners something. Pre-production for this show.
Yeah.
I had Chumahan. He's playing me and fucking Sean some songs. And we're going through some different songs. And then he hits on this, and as soon as he hits play, we all look at each other and he goes, is that the right song for Tait? And
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. We all look at each other like, yeah, that's it.
That's
What's
the
up,
flesh.
Tait Fletcher?
So good
Welcome
to be
in.
here. So good to be here.
Man.
You know what's crazy too, since the last time you guys, like, since I've been here last, everything different, but like, I've also been so impressed with what you guys have amassed consistently over this time has been just phenomenal, dude. And I'm just impressed by that. I can't not say that, man. And
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
And the amount of enjoyment in quarantine that I've gotten from you fucking knuckleheads.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's the biggest compliment you can give us,
I mean, it's
bro.
something else. It's what a great little community, and the whole thing that's grown up has been beautiful around it.
Wow. Thank you,
Yeah,
man.
it's
Yeah.
really, it's really been dope. And then all the features, all the like a lot of those native kids, I would never hear any of that music.
Right.
You know, and what you bring is it's amazing. It's amazing. Looking into young Sean's psyche a little bit.
It's cool.
And the whole deal. Yeah, the whole interaction is amazing.
Yeah.
You know what, Steve is a referee at points.
Right.
Hey, Chumahan, I
Lord.
can't even see you.
Hey.
I gotta be able to see. If I don't see Chumahan, I don't feel safe in here. All right. One thing, well, you know what I'll tell you, man. We're gonna get down to some, as my partner likes to say, brass tacks.
Yeah, we're gonna get down to some brass tacks.
You know what's interesting is so Tait was on, and if you listeners have listened to early episodes,
Dude, proto show.
right?
Before we'd really hit our stride.
Exactly. We'd hear Tait came in and supported.
Yeah, me and
Jay
Jamie.
Yeager.
Yeah.
Jamie Yeager, shout out to Yeager.
Big egg.
And so early on, and we kind of left off, and as I told Sean and Chumahan, hey, here is a message, because you sent over a message about the show, and I sent it over, how much you liked it, and the guys were like, oh, cool. And then when I invited you to come back on, I let them know during the week, hey, Tait's coming in. Like, oh, dope, what, this, that. You know, right away, the first thing out of Chumahan's mouth is, dude, he's in Mandalorian, bro. Yeah. We're going to talk about that. And what happens was I thought that I shared kind of what was going on with you real clearly with these gentlemen. And I hadn't. And they were like, what? And so Chumahan was doing a little research on some things. But I kind of wanted you to bring us up to speed because things kind of changed kind of around that time, and you've been going through some things the last year and a half, last couple of years, and I kind of like said, you know what, I'm going to let Tait kind of bring us up to speed with where he's at these days and what kind of happened and what was up, because I know, but I'm going to let you speak on it. Tait.
Crazy, yeah, yeah. What a trip. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for the opportunity to, because I haven't. So, yeah, I haven't spoken on anything in ever. So it was June 15th, 2019, I guess, was the last, my latest, most, I don't know if it's most significant, I don't know how you quantify those things, but what seemed like my most significant head injury. And I was unconscious for 5 minutes on a movie set, and just a stunt that went poorly planned out.
What kind of stunt was it?
It was just I was getting blown out of a, you know, like when you see a guy get blown out of a scene from an explosion, or like when Thor punches him and he goes back at 30 miles an hour. You're hooked onto a wire, and so you have a girdle on underneath your wardrobe,
right?
And then they hook a thin line to that girdle at some pick point, and then can jerk you through time and space at 50 miles an hour or whatever they need to do to
make it look like you're fucking blown away.
So I was on a stairwell, a huge stairwell, and a Ducati was whipping down, and and I turn up into it right as I meet it, and it blows past me, and so that's what was blowing me out of the scene. But we just picked in a bad spot, and I went straight to my head at speed and distance. And
what did you hit your head on?
The earth.
God damn.
We're in like a video game kind of sequence, and so it was like on a hard showroom floor type deal. Yeah, it was all of it.
And so, you were out.
So I was out for 5 minutes anyway, and then the ensuing, that's just the tip off of it. If I rewind that, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years, like a while ago, I was doing bodyguard work with Rogan, and we were watching fights, and we saw this guy Sam. He was active fighter from the Ultimate Fighter, and he got knocked out in front of us, and he's out for 6 or 8 minutes, long time, which is a long time to see an athletic, vital body be lifeless, blood coming out the ears, the whole, all that. And after that, Joe goes, the worst part about those concussions is that they don't even see the bad effects for like 15, 20 years later.
Right.
And I didn't really know how he knew that then, because there wasn't a lot of research then, but he'd seen a lot of combat sport guys. And anyway, so what I've come to know about TBIs has grown considerably since then, because I was just in the dark for the last since last June. Anyway.
What is
a
TBI? TBI
TBI, traumatic brain injury.
Right.
And so,
are these similar? I mean, they're in the same categories as to like when guys are in Afghanistan and Iraq and there's
Same
IEDs and blows them and they're okay.
And the football guys
But-
too? The football players
and
too?
the football players and everybody. And so what I see is like the more present I am to it, I go, oh, well, one of my friends, Dr. Kirk Parsley, he was a Navy SEAL, and then he started being a doctor to Navy SEALs.
Right.
And what he found is that like a lot of these guys were coming in and their testosterone scores were dropped out, that they were apathetic, that they're all kinds of psychic diminishment. And he saw that they all also were on Ambien.
Right.
And he goes, the one thing I knew is they didn't have an Ambien deficiency. But as he explored, what he found out was that concussions, TBIs, were affecting sleep patterns, and that's what they do greatly. And so then if you never get into deep sleep, you never get the nourishing replenishment that sleep offers for our brains and our bodies. And so you never recover. And Ambien only mimics sleep, but will put you after extended use into a mania and a craziness.
Because there's a book called Why We Sleep. And in that book, the gentleman, I can't remember his name right now, but Why We Sleep's the title. And he talks about exactly what you're saying. He says that these sleep aids, they knock you out, but there are sleep cycles, alpha waves and all beta and all this other stuff that you're supposed to do.
Totally.
And some of it even they've found with PTSD. This doctors, they said they've been doing some research and they've been showing that there is an ability to deal with post-traumatic stress disorder if you can actually get the proper sleep. But one of the things that a lot of these folks that have this problem or whatever it is, especially combat dudes, is that they're not able to sleep in the right way, and they're not getting those cycle rhythms for their brains, and they're not processing a lot of that shit.
And also the payoff isn't there. It's not readily available. You get a good night's sleep, you feel better. You're like, I don't know.
Right.
And so this whole thing of this cumulative effect,
Right.
people won't be consistent long enough to get the effect, and then they feel like they're just wallowed in the dark still. And so I think that's the big aspect is you get a TBI. Well, fuck, you go on and you go on living. You go on and your brain has to find workarounds.
Right.
But it doesn't heal. And so I think what I've come to find now, I've been in a couple different brain clinics and I've done a whole bunch of different therapies, like whatever you can think of. I got experience with at this point. And
what do they do to you in these brain clinics?
and so this latest brain clinic is the one I want to talk about because you just came up with, you said alpha, delta, beta. So these different, there are 4 different wave systems in your brain that your brain operates on, and different quadrants of the brain can be altered so it's not synchronous anymore.
Right.
And so this one's you're in a sleep state and this one's in a wake state, and it causes confusion in the brain, all that. And so what this does is it's a transcranial magnet, MERT therapy is the one I've been doing. I go in and it they do an EEG, all the different points, like 100 points on your head. And
what did they do? They stuck electrodes and shit to your head?
It's like a.
Is it a cap?
It's like a cap, like a swimmer's cap,
Right.
with, like little spikes, like little nubs all along the underside of it, pins down, and they want to make sure they get good contact points on your scalp.
Right.
And then you go, don't meditate. You don't want to be in a meditative sleep. You want to be in a wakeful state, but your eyes want to be closed. But don't let your eyes flutter and move around. We want to keep as still as we can while we're taking images for 10 minutes, so we can get unadulterated views of these brainwave spikes.
Right.
Or roundings as they are. And you can actually measure as you go through the treatment how they tighten up and become more articulated and more even. And it's fucking insane. So I've been doing this like 6 weeks now, and I've had like 4 EEGs. The thing they do after the EEG, they get that setting, and then they go to a certain spot in your head and they stimulate it with an electrical charge, like or a magnet. And
do you feel? Can you feel anything?
My left hand, my left thumb starts. They go, when that you can't stop that. Let me know. And I was like, yeah. And it's just going zzz, zzz, and I was like, what a trip. I go,
right.
So that's not like a reaction like you hit the knee and the response.
Right.
Happens.
That's an order.
That's a directive, right?
Right.
Which
Right.
is crazy.
Like
And
remote control.
So that sets out your baseline of what the energetic impulse of the magnet is going to be, how intense it'll be. And they do a percentage of what it took to move my thumb like that. Then that sets all my treatments from that point out. They shoot.
What a trip,
and
dude.
so then they put this big
Whoa.
telescoping arm down off this machine. Steel plate goes onto your forehead. And so then you sit still for a half hour. And every 40 seconds, for 5 seconds, it goes, meh, 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 and it shoots magnets into your fucking head.
God damn.
And so then it
Do you
stops.
see anything when it
Nope.
happens?
It's as comfortable as it sounds. And
Right.
and dude, after 2 days, 3 days of this, and this is going back to like, only get to these brain clinics because I'm done. I'm going to pull the plug. Like, this is a wrap. I can't do this anymore. I can't carry it anymore. I don't care. And with a diseased, ill mind that is a brain damaged mind, even with all the veracity and force that you would like to have, like, I don't want my mom to bury her son. Like things that are important to me that I've been proud of.
Right.
And I go, it don't matter. I got to go.
Hold on a
I can't hang
second.
on
What
no
is
more.
it that you're carrying when you're dealing with
The
that?
weight of your life, and you. So what happens when you get brain injuries is you start to become not you, and so after enough time, you become a stranger inside your own skin, and so you don't know who you are or what you are, and so then you're looking at life through a filter that you have no confidence in because you are so aware that your filter is skewed, that it's discolored, and you can't ascertain life in a different way than that, and it becomes a hopeless endeavor that you can't carry the fucking weight of this terror of being unknown to yourself anymore. Something like that.
Right, but does it start off kind of small at first, and you notice it, and you try to keep it to yourself?
Starts off with like irritability and things like that. That's what I say. Brain damage doesn't look like brain damage. It looks like you lost your temper. It looks like you got impulsivity problems. It looks like you're maybe depressive. It looks like you have a hopeless outlook for the future. It looks like, yeah, I known Steve a while, but what the fuck is he up to? What is he really like? You start getting fucking
like
paranoid about shit that you should that doesn't make any sense. That you're paranoid. That's the rub. Is like everybody gets paranoid, but you got no call to that. But your mind is fucking. It's like the idea of hurting yourself. If I say to somebody with a well mind, with a healthy mind,
right,
about cutting themselves, or you ever think about shooting yourself in the chest?
Sure.
Fuck. People will be like aghast. A lot of people are like, no, that was ridiculous. I would never do that. Why would I not be on my own side?
Right.
But with a sick filter, man, that's the way you view life, and that becomes normal.
Well, let me ask you a question, because it's interesting that you bring that up, because like part of me feels like, and now what you're talking about is more extreme for sure. Okay. And I'm not minimalizing it, but there's a part of me that's also like, I don't think it's normal for people not to have intrusive thoughts about suicide or whatever. Like everybody
We
thinks
must
like
discipline our minds.
Yeah, or even like it occurs to you, you just don't do it. But like that's part of. I was walking with a friend one time, and we were walking over a bridge, and he's like, "I gotta take this medication." I'm like, "Why do you have to take this medication?" He's like, because sometimes I'll think about pushing you off the thing, and I'll be like, "Why did I think that?"
I love that it's not even him jumping.
Right, and
I do this to keep you safe.
I know, but then I go, but in my mind, I'm like, that's kind of normal. I think about that. I think about pushing you off.
I don't need medication.
I just don't do it. Right. But how is it more than that?
Yeah.
It's like if you're at, you know how you pulled into a void? Sometimes, like if you're standing somewhere high.
Yeah.
And getting near the edge, it's only dangerous because it feels like it's pulling you into the void.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
feels like
Yeah.
that's where my destiny is, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
We're
That
like,
little magnet.
Yeah.
That's why you lean back when you're getting towards
Steve
it.
and I are like
the gravity will
smiling.
pull you right over. Yeah.
There is
It'll
a
suck you out. Yeah.
there's a power in it.
It's not that you're unscared while you're in. It's not that, but you're compelled to the void. It might be terrifying to you. That's that thing about like trying to get away from the edge, but look at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like it's pulling your different drives in half inside of you. You know,
I almost want to crawl to the edge.
and so the difference is,
I'm like, look, just because I want to have the feeling in my balls. I'm like,
and then you take away the impulsivity control, and you're over the edge.
Right.
And it's like that. The difference is there's not the tension that doesn't want to go anymore. Like that's a lesser thing, you know. And
it was. Did you have like relationships? Like, were you trying to have?
It comes in it fucks up your whole life. I mean, it makes you think things that are normal that aren't normal,
right?
In a huge way, and yeah, it's affected all my relationships. You know, the thing that is really interesting is my mother. right before I came out here, she goes, and by saying that, before I came out to this treatment center in Newport, she says, "I'm so glad you got hurt." And this is like a couple months ago, and I'm devastated, hurt, like I'm going to shoot. It's been I've been looking at the carpet for 2 years. I'm fucking lost in, like, it's been and she says, "I'm so glad you got hurt."
Right.
Because for the last 8-10 years, I've been noticing you change. And so the people closest can ascertain these things, but it's like such a subtle thing that it just creeps on you. And so then I think what happens, I was talking to a friend of mine, he's a big wave surfer, and Shane Dorian, and he's who got me out into this place, man. My other friend Jared Shaw, he was a SEAL and a team guy. He went through here 5 years ago. He had fucking excellent results, man. And he combat vet for long year, 10-year SEAL, top buds, da. But the thing that I start getting present to about that, and with my friend Kirk Parsley, that was the SEAL that became a doctor, what he started noticing is that, like, even on a Zodiac boat, like the inflatable raft that the team's guys are, he says every time they go over right, every time they land on a wave, it's another TBI. It's like
that makes sense.
10, 20 points higher than a TBI. Now I've got gunfire all day long.
Right.
Now I got gunfire inside a car.
Right.
Shoot inside a car?
Yeah.
It's different. You know what I mean? And so there's that constant explosion all the time. And then I watch another friend of mine that got back, and him and his buddies, they had all their helmet cams, and they edited it all. They made like a deployment video. And I'm watching these trucks hit these landmines and shit, and these are big it's like you're in a steel safe.
Right.
That then somebody puts a bomb on the outside of, and it rings your bell like that.
Right.
I'm like, of course 20 guys a day kill themselves when they get... This is all brain damage. And so this kind of brain damage that I'm talking about, when you see that, and I think it's synaptic damage that like Shane was telling me, he says, because I used to think CTE is another thing. CTE is what the football players, they popularized in the NFL, the African doctor that brought it all to points and said that there's a lack of oxygen and a robbing of your brain, and your brain, it rots. It gets corrosive and it rots more and more over time. As
Chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
Right. And so that I've come to learn, I think, is we had a lot of wrong information about that. I don't think it's a death sentence like it was as I come through my healing more. What I did think last year was like, I'm in a decaying hole and it's only going to get worse and I need to end this.
Right.
Because this is only going to get darker from here, right?
Right.
And so as you feel your health decay, you feel like you have to avoid the horrible end by maybe killing yourself early.
Right.
And so all of that is going on. But what Shane said, he says, I think, people says the brain heals. And it does, but it's not like what people think about. He goes, you get a knock, an infraction, whatever, and it hits a certain part of the brain. And the synapses are fucked up and broken there. But they don't heal and grow back. What happens is we need an instantaneous fix because life goes on and it's happening right now. And those still signals need to have impulse and go over. And so they find another way.
Right.
They find a way around.
A workaround.
And so you do a work and then you hit again. Now we got another workaround. Every other workaround that you get more confused because your information's not going straight anymore. It's finding workarounds. And I think that's the unbecoming of yourself that happens. I think it's almost like if you're born a little soft, tender nucleus that is very vulnerable. And then you come through this birth canal.
Right.
And now you got to learn how to breathe.
Right.
Air. Because you've been breathing water.
Right.
You got to learn how to, it's bright.
Right.
And I think it's like a little piece of twine that attaches itself and starts to wrap itself around. And then it learns about love and goes, and it learns here's where food is. And everything you learn, that twine wraps around there some more. You learn speech. You learn, my parents aren't God. I'm not I'm different than my parent. You learn all these things.
Right.
And you hit your head, dude. And you get a good knot of all your experiences, and everywhere that line is over another line, that's another connection point.
Right.
And then you hit your head and that whole fucking thing comes unspooled. And now you have all this information, but it's only melded together with confusion.
Right. It doesn't even have to be like a huge thing. It could just be two wires crisscrossed in the wrong way that can cause a lot of confusion.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And but like what we're talking about is that compounded.
Right.
Yeah, we can see that alone would be bad enough.
But 20, 30, 40, 50,
But it's
100.
way beyond that. And so there's this thing where I think that what's happening with these magnets is they talk about your alpha, beta, theta, delta systems.
Yeah.
And getting those synchronous and in line. And so that's what's been happening. Anyway, I'm going to kill myself 7-8 weeks ago. I was like, that's when I talked to Shane. I was talking to a friend of ours in common, and he goes, "Hey, how was yesterday? How's things going?" This and that. I go, "I was just riding around in my truck all day yesterday, gonna put one through my chest, you know."
Yeah.
And and he goes, "What's going on?" And anyway, 15 minutes later, I get a text from Shane's wife, and she's going, "You got to call Shane. He's at this treatment center right." Anyway, within 4 days, I'm at the treatment center, but I need to get broken to a point like that before I can find help, because it seems like I'm being too much of a pussy about
Because
this
it's weird.
otherwise and all that, and you can't put a name to it, and nobody understands it. The lack of acknowledgement that you have with somebody when you got brain damage, it's a crazy thing. You can't understand it to have a normal mind. You really...
Because, and how, let me ask you this. How many times did you, I don't know how long you've actually been carrying this, to be honest with you.
Since I'm a little boy, is what I've come to find in my healing.
Right.
I never knew I was carrying this much that long, Chumahan. But
I believe that.
That's what you say is real shit.
I know. So I'm thinking about that. Then I'm thinking about, for how long did you have people around you that were well-intentioned, right? But they're like, "Hey, man, you got to fucking nut up." Well, life is hard for all of us, bro.
Right. I had a doctor assistant that said that, and who I just laughed at, and I go, "Oh, you just don't know." That's the other thing, is my compassion came up. I go, "Oh, you don't understand brain injury. I understand. You don't understand."
Right.
Because it's not that kind of thing. It's like, just come up and do it. It's like, there's no desire for that. There's not hope. There's all those things that are erased from, a lot of things that I would take for granted.
Yeah.
We're now gone, or we're now huge obstacles. Go to the grocery store, to anxiety to go to the grocery store. What is PTSD? Never knew about it before. I thought that's made up shit. Anxiety, made up shit. You're making excuses. I thought that shit my whole life.
Right.
Until I got anxiety, which is manufactured inside of me. And it's a nervousness about a future event, like, "Ooh, I got to go meet these guys. Are they going to judge me? I'm already paranoid." All those other things that I brought up earlier that come into play.
Right.
And then you're tripping. And then you're like, "I think it's safer if I just stay inside today." And then your life becomes isolated. You get weirder and weirder with your own thoughts.
Right.
And all that stuff can happen. But that whole thing about, just dig yourself out of the hole. It's like, I got no shovel, man. I'm paralyzed.
Right.
And there's that sense of it. You need real treatment and real help. And so thankfully I had people I had 2 women that I was dating at the time they carried me through to a huge fucking, way, but that was more confusing even, you know what I mean? It's like everything became more confusing. Then your love is pulled this way and that way.
Right.
And then, and you're like, "Oh, I've set my fucking whole life up to be in chaos." And it's not maybe that big, but you get, when you're aware of your blind spots, it's like, holy fuck, how did that happen in my life?
Right.
And that's what it is like, this is it's like a coming to of those blind spots.
Let me ask you a question, Tait.
Yeah.
Just for the listeners too, as a fighter, and I don't even know if you can put a number on this, bro. And we already went over every punch, every speedboat thing could be a minor, you know? If you were to take a wild stab at guess, how many times have you been knocked unconscious that you can remember through training and fighting outside of stunt work?
So,
do you have a history of that?
That's the thing, is that I always thought that you're not hurt unless you're unconscious,
Yeah.
So I've been with training partners, get kicked in the head, everything lined up, and all of a sudden there's a shin right behind your ear, and wobbled, and then the first instinct of everybody I know, when coach and your partner are like, whoa, you're like, "No, I'm good."
Right.
Because the thinking is you never want to rob your partner of their round. So I'm not going to be a weak link here.
Right.
That's what's built into you.
Keep
right.
going.
And so there's that, and then you have to have good, loving training partners that can see better than you can see at the time, and that you listen to. Get the fuck out of the cage and sit down.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm listening to you talk, and these are we're adults or later teens talking about. Now I'm thinking about kids.
Yeah, they're not thinking about any of this shit.
I'm thinking about little boys,
You
and I'm
look at
thinking
little
about
boys in football, and to me, it's as crazy as people that send their kids to Sunday school. You know, priests fuck kids.
Yes.
And you're sending your kids there.
Yes.
You know that when kids bump their heads and they're 11 years old and they are screwy, everybody giggles because, oh, look how dizzy they got. You've just, that beautiful little boy's brain, you've just given an infraction to. You're making his life harder in the future right now.
When I was in Pop Warner, when I wanted to make my dad proud,
Yeah.
all right, I was a little fat kid. So I'm like, I guess I'll be a lineman. When you're fat, you're going to be a lineman.
Yeah, you're the center.
Right, exactly.
The tackle or something.
Right. But my dad was like, yeah, we play football, Pop Warner, right? And I was like 5th grade. Our coach, if we got in a fight, I got in a fight with a guy on the fucking field, the way to handle it was he'd line you up, face up against the guy you were fighting with your helmets on and smash into each other like 10, 20, 30 times. Get your bell rung. Problem solved. Yeah, that's exactly right. Now I'm hearing you talk and I'm like, fuck, man, that's not a good idea at all. I mean, how when the brain, so what we're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. The brain injuries. Is that a situation like the brain is moving so fast inside the skull that when it hits the skull at a speed that injures it?
Those are parts of it.
What else
the
is
other
it?
thing is swelling, and different things can do that. You can get that through diet. You can get that through stress. You can get global inflammation that can give you brain damage. Different drugs can give you brain damage.
Sure.
Of course. There's all that, you know, and so I think that it's a lot wider term than we pigeonhole it to thinking, oh, it's just like this. You know, it's just when that, and then he was unconscious, and then we count that one. Right. But it's like, you know, you might get 50 TBIs a day. Right. And you're just walking with them because that's your life. I mean, that was everything in my life was like, let's pound ourselves against this and outlast the thing.
Right.
You know, to build your endurance.
Right.
Your resiliency, right? And
right.
So, yeah, that you can, and that's all great. And I don't begrudge that in any way also, but like there's a price to pay, you know, and it's important to know that there's a price to pay. It's important to know that we can avoid suicides, and it's important to know, man, if you are hurt, that you can heal, that it doesn't have to be terminal.
Right.
But if it's not treated, it is.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this. They used to have a term in the olden days. They used to have something they called punch drunk.
Yeah, punch drunk. Yeah.
And was that like in the early days when they had those smokers in the turn of the century and they were bare knuckling it or whatever, and then guys would get older and they would be like punch drunk. That would just be cumulative brain damage.
Right. Where I first got health. Lacey, my partner in Caveman Coffee, she just researched, and I was here. Sunglasses on, shades pulled, hoodie on, and I'm looking at the carpet for 8 months. I mean, like, I don't move. I'm like, it's like that. And then I moved locations because I had to take a job, this and that. Like, can I be in life? I can't just am I going to feel better? I don't know. So I'm trying shit. Maybe it regresses me. Maybe it makes me a little strong. You know, I don't know. But, you know, you kind of feel it out like that. And so the first thing I started doing was called Joe Namath therapy. And what Joe Namath had found is that by the time he was in his mid-50s or something like that, they're saying you got early onset Alzheimer's.
Right.
And he wouldn't accept that. And he says, I think I've hurt my brain from years of football. And I think if I could push oxygen into the recessed tissues of my body, that I could help myself out. And so he got into hyperbaric tanks. And so he got in at like an atmosphere and a half of pressure, right? As if you're, 100 feet under the water.
Right. So all this oxygen being pressurized into you.
Completely pressurized. You're breathing an oxygen mask, and it's going into the deeper recesses of your brains and your tissue and your body that it doesn't usually reach.
Right.
And he says, you do that 50 times in a row. And so like for 50 hours or something, I've probably done 130 hours.
You gone inside the chamber?
Of that. Yeah. The problem is like, it's like $100 a time. It's like, it's expensive as fuck to get better. And these ways, what I'm saying, it's like, you're just throwing dice going, I hope, you know what I mean? You're not even sure. You got this outlet. And so like, thankfully I
what's it like in the chamber?
Check to check. And
what's it like in the chamber? Like, what do you got to do? You got to get in.
You just sit there and you
feel
be
high
with yourself.
You just breathe.
Yeah.
Do your ears pop?
Yeah. You got to pressurize yourself in and out.
Right.
Yep.
And when you get out, do you feel energized at all, or not really?
Well, when not in that condition, I mean, I felt like a zombie all the time.
Right.
It's touched to the degree that, like, if I was riding a car, I would have to look at the floorboards because the brightness. Like, if I would go outside and my temperature would raise a couple degrees, I would have a psychic cascade just into despair because of the swelling in my brain. Then the temperature outside would swell up, and then you have more of a. I mean, it's been fucking crazy. Like, all the different things matter.
Wow.
Your pressure, fucking your stress, all that shit.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's been.
Maybe, dude. I'm still not trying to minimize this, but I'm thinking about all the different conditions that people live with.
Yeah.
That they don't really investigate that much.
Yeah.
And you kind of, like, as a person, let's not even take it off of gender. Like, as a person, you just kind of have shit that you live with that you figure, fuck it, it's not really going to change, but I still got to go about my day. So, and then you kind of, it becomes your baseline.
Yeah.
You don't really notice it anymore.
Right.
And so I'm thinking about people with migraines, and I'm thinking about people
Everything.
that lay in the dark for hours, and you think like, oh, well, they just are having headaches. And I'm thinking like, maybe when they were a kid, they got hit in the fucking head by their parent real hard.
Sure.
Real hard. Because there's a lot of parents that,
All of that.
where I grew up, they beat the kids.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like fucking knock them in the head and shit like that.
Of course.
And they're little.
Well, and not them. That's what's teaching all the older brothers, everybody. It's
Right.
Like, it becomes, like, I mean, I knew a family across the street. They had a rug in the front. And, it's like the thing about putting the guys in hitting helmets.
Yeah.
It's like, 7 sisters, two brothers. Brothers were younger than every sister except for one. And it's a tough house to be in. And,
Right.
And so if you had a problem, you go to the rug. And whoever the last person is on the rug is who won the argument,
Right.
And these are children. But
Dude, I grew up in a house on the reservation with 13 older kids than me.
Yeah.
And they were all pissed.
Yeah.
And they would fucking torture my shit all the time.
Yeah.
And I would torture smaller ones than me.
Hurt
That's
people,
just how
hurt
it went.
people.
No, go down there, throw each other down the stairs for fun.
Yeah. Of course.
I'm not kidding. Carpeted stairs. We'd try to fall down the stairs and like make it cool. And
Stuntman in training.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, fuck, maybe I got brain damage. Yeah, exactly.
Of course, there's no kids that get away without it. But like at the end of the day, the whole deal is like it's your responsibility to heal. And
Right.
So until you get to the, I know a guy. I just say, hey man, I'm doing this thing. It's great. Da da da. He's got some neuropathy and shit from it. He's an active UFC fighter right now. Blah 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 blah. And he goes, I said, you should come in here, especially you're still active. I think you could fortify your mind here.
Right.
And he goes, I think I'm going to wait to address it till I'll get knocked out again. So he's already planning on losing.
Right. Right.
He's also already said, hey, I've already taken all the hits. I might as well get paid.
Right.
As if that's a thing. I'll tell you another story about brain damage is that I was in my first clinic I went to. There's a guy in there. He's a big son of a bitch, big smile. And he's from Penn State football. And he got a concussion playing football. And 6 weeks later, he played again, got another concussion, and they cut the front part of his brain out. And so, like, that's the thing is, like, you wear it so easy, and you're like, I'll deal with it the next time or whatever. But it's like, you can't know how severe the damage might be before the next, if you're hurt and then that's the thing. Everybody I ever know that ever fought that got knocked out or had a bad fight, had a heart, they're in the fucking gym on Monday.
Right.
I don't care what happened on Saturday.
Right.
And so you're in there, you're still dizzy, you're this and that. Everybody fights. And when
Shit,
I say
there's
hurt, not just like a broken foot or something like that, I mean hurt in a way that you might not ever get better from.
There's a line of thinking that if I get back into the gym, it's going to heal faster.
Well,
yeah.
And also you want to, you're ashamed, you're embarrassed
Right.
that you brought, a loss to your team. And then you want to show everybody how tough you are. You want to you need to show yourself how tough you are.
Right.
I mean, psychically, you need to do this for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I mean, the Rocky
understand it,
movies-
and it's the worst thing you can do.
Rocky movies never show, like, they don't really, I mean, they show, Stallone a little bit, like, slow or whatever, but if he took the beatings that he really took in Rocky 1 and 2, I mean,
It'd be in a wheelchair.
Even this right now, you listen to Sly speak.
Right.
He doesn't. He's not a clear.
Right.
He's a guy that you know what I mean.
He's got
And
communication problems.
So even that.
He always did, though.
He's
Yeah,
in,
he's like, yeah,
he's been
yeah.
in a ton of movie fights.
Right.
But like even doing head reactions,
Right.
That's brain damage.
Right.
It's all like they talk about shaking baby syndrome. It's like
Fuck that.
A lot of us men live in our life with and we're
That's
shaking
right.
this baby that we're supposed to be taking care of.
That's how we prove we're
Right?
not a baby.
Of course.
That's exactly right.
So there's all that, and so anyway, the good news, that upside is that there's a ton of asset. There's a ton. I never thought there could be. I never thought I could have a mind that was the way I'm enjoying it today. Right?
You know what's interesting though? It's true. It's like I remember my parents saying, as they were older and I was young, I remember them saying they'd be interviewing a fighter or talking to a fighter, and my parents, I'd hear them say, "Man, that's a shame. Do you hear how he's speaking? Wow, right?" And as a kid, I'm not hearing it because I don't know the guy prior to. But as I live my life and follow fighters from the beginning
Right.
into their thing, Sugar Shane Mosley. I've watched a really sharp, intelligent guy answer questions in an interview over the last 25 years. Bro, Sugar Shane Mosley. Dude, his last interview I saw, this guy could barely put sentences together.
Right.
This is Sugar Shane Mosley. And he looks and he's smiling, looks great. As soon as he opens his mouth, and you can really, really see it. I could start to see it in Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yeah.
In his interviews, I can start to see it.
Sugar Ray was like a smooth dude in the beginning,
Dude,
right?
Even when I met him in AA 20
Eloquent,
years ago.
smooth guy.
And the last one I'm going to tell you that really surprised me was an interview I just saw 10 days ago, and it was with Tony Dorsett.
Oh boy.
Tony Dorsett, bro. This guy, bro. I thought I was listening to Muhammad Ali, bro. It was so sad, bro. Tony Dorsett. This is not a professional fighter, bro. And it took a while to catch him.
Yep.
And so I'm over time seeing this more and more become prevalent. I'm learning a lot because Tait's sharing a lot with me.
Right.
I'm even starting to question
You.
some of my things, some of the drugs that I used, and because I'm automatically, there's a very male idea that we carry with us anyways. And that is, suck it up.
Yep.
Stop fucking complaining and
Right.
fucking walk that shit
Rub
off.
some dirt on it. Let's go. We got to go. Tomorrow's coming.
Right.
Walk it off. So my thoughts of me thinking, is there possibly, end real quickly, because I got life to deal with. But it starts to make me think, God damn, a lot of what he's saying, some of it's like Chumahan, some of it's natural. We all have it.
Right.
But where's that line
That's
where
a good
I maybe
question.
need to investigate? Because some of the shit he's saying is really like, wow.
I'll say that we don't know until we start healing the load of the weight of the hurt that we've been carrying from our past hurts.
Right.
I couldn't have known what. So I would say this, that like whatever people are doing, that everybody want to eat fucking keto and paleo and do the right workout and do the right consciousness and meditate and fucking everybody's right. Everybody more than ever in our lifetime is looking to this elevated state of consciousness. People are saying, how do you upgrade your life? How can you get a life
hack? Fuck that.
Right?
Fuck
There's all
that.
that stuff.
Yeah.
And so like if you could do something like this therapy that I'm in, like I want I want my mom to do it. Like if it can take away late afternoon brain fog, depression, build confidence, like if there's all those assets to it of that you'll feel better, is it not worth exploring that, right? Because at whatever point in your life you live to be 50 years old, you might want to get a colonic. You might have had some stuff back.
You might find some old beef stew back
That's
there.
the thing. You might want to go ahead and
But wait
tune
a
up
second.
all the systems.
Wait
Why
a
wouldn't I wanna
second.
tune up
Wait
the
a
systems?
second. Wait a second. God damn it. The only thing, and I don't disagree with this, Tait. God damn it. But let's cut the shit.
What shit?
I'm going to tell you.
Oh, okay.
I hear you say this, and I think to myself, it's true. But one piece
When you
is,
say this, what do you mean?
I mean, why not upgrade this? Everyone wants
Right,
to elevate,
okay,
right?
got it,
Why
yep,
not
yep.
upgrade the system?
We're on
I'm
the
not
same page
against
now,
it.
yeah.
I'm not against it at all. But I'm also seeing the same thing with all these motherfuckers that want to upgrade the system. This yoga, this fucking mat, I'm going to do mixed martial arts, I'm going to do all this shit, right? Not really do it, but to avoid the other part of the healing work, which is to confront your real self. Like, you can get more oxygen, and if you have brain injury, sure. But if you don't, if you have a slight, and the other thing, you might be another motherfucker that's going to try another practice that's just one more distraction from what's really going on with you. Why are you emotional?
But the thing is like that's a lot of judgment.
Yeah.
For a lot of people that you and I do not know. And we are supposing outcomes that are negative or puny based on a very certain set of criterion. I would offer, why wouldn't I want anybody to try to get better in any way they could, especially when we're talking about these psychic things where you're talking about impediments about like, yeah, the guy should just clean up his fucking house every day, but he doesn't. But I'm saying that there could be a psychic disturbance that could be amended and that might even out that dude's life in untold ways.
And
Other than medication.
I'm
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
But
right?
listen.
Right.
What I'm not saying, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying in terms of we don't know everybody. I agree with that.
But
But
even if you know your brother, who gives a shit? He don't care about what you think.
He does.
Unless he wants change, unless he wants transcendence, you can notice all the people that need shit all day long. But all you are is a dickhead in judgment of everybody at that point.
Maybe.
Right?
Actually, maybe not.
I don't want to position myself there. I don't want to argue with nobody about nothing. I want to go, here's roads that I know of that take you certain places, and here's what's going on. And if it can help you, God bless.
Listen, you're right. But what I am adding to it is, yes, you could say that I'm the dickhead who's judging people. However, there may or may not be people who are dispensing the truth, a truth.
Okay.
All right. And so some people are going through certain things, right? And they know who they are. They're listening. And they may be saying to themselves, I would rather, right, try another distraction.
Cool.
And I'm saying I'm going to be the one that will say, but there's also something else you got to work on inside.
Yeah.
And if people want to say that's
Just 'cause
punitive.
one thing is true doesn't mean a lot of other things aren't true about
Oh,
the same
that's why I
thing.
said add.
Yeah.
That's why I'm adding to what you're saying.
I'm just saying that it's like I can't suppose where somebody's at. You got to pick people up where they're at. People are where they're at. You know, I heard you talk with a young gentleman on here that was a physical trainer. And you're like, a lot of people are just fucking full of shit and they don't want to show up. And
That's true. That's true.
How many professional athletes you ever trained? How many people you ever coached to success in your life?
A couple.
Okay, a couple.
Coach, not in physical, but in mental and emotional. Absolutely.
And then this guy has a gang of experience with going, I have to put bread on my table.
Right.
I have to appeal to a broad people.
Absolutely.
I have to give those people results. I have to build return clientele. I have to do all that.
Right.
I have to be a lot of different people as an actual person that's a professional that's
Sure.
trying to alter people's lives.
Sure.
I can't have this one hammer. I'm only going to have one kind of client. I can't be helpful. I've minimized and neutered myself to become helpful to anybody
Right.
else in the world.
Right.
Because I know so goddamn much
Right.
about what a pussy you are.
Well, no, wait.
That ain't no way to go through life, Chumahan.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Now, you are right. You are right. And who am I? Right?
Chumahan Bowen.
Listen, I am. But my point is that's correct. But I'm not a physical trainer,
Right.
right?
It's just a point.
No. I'm not a physical trainer. What I am is I'm an attorney,
Okay.
right? And part of my job is to point out uncomfortable truths. Now, listen.
Yeah, but
And
that's not part of your job.
It is. Wait.
It's not
Mr.
for society.
Mr. Fletcher.
It's not.
Mr.
You're just
Fletcher.
the guy that's got an opinion.
Wait, Mr. Fletcher.
Like Donald Trump or anybody else.
Hold on,
It's
Mr.
like my opinion needs to get heard.
Hold on, Mr. Fletcher. Your opinion needs to get heard. My opinion needs to get heard. And
It
you got
doesn't.
done. Wait,
It
you
actually doesn't.
You got done. Wait, yes, it does. Absolutely.
That's saying you think everybody deserves an opinion? That is insane.
Everybody does.
That means you're listening to every idiot in your comment section.
And that's not true.
That's ridiculous. They don't all deserve opinions. A lot of them should learn to hold their mud. And I would think that a person like you that's like, I want to set a line on the standard would fucking understand that you don't let juveniles with amateurish bullshit ideas air it out as if it's the same fucking veracity as somebody that is actual G in the game that's fucking done some things.
Well, I'm
and has
telling you.
merit.
Well, let me tell you something.
That's a different thing.
Let me tell you something.
Not everybody deserves an opinion.
Hold on a second. Everybody does, as their human birthright, deserve an opinion. You're making the assumption that I'm saying they're all equal. I'm not saying they're all equal, Tate. I'm not saying that. But every human has an opinion, whether we like it or not.
Right.
Okay. That's why we have comment sections. Doesn't mean you listen to them. Discernment is the key.
That's why we have comment sections.
Why do we have comment sections?
Well, for advertisement, to attach your attention to it so that you're connected to your phone all the time so that you can create commerce, and that's all we are as a product now. But that's a whole different conversation.
No, it's actually a good conversation.
I don't think it's not a good conversation. I'm just saying it's different.
No, and I agree with you, and I'm adding that it's good. But here's my point. As an attorney, my job is to have discernment to look and to say certain things. So when you say to me, like, listen, have you ever trained a professional athlete? Of course I say no. But I'm saying back to you, part of my job as an attorney is to read, think critically, make judgments. And sometimes I get paid a lot of money to make a decision in a time when people don't want to make a decision. So that's why I am the position of saying, like, yeah, maybe that person is, and I'm going to hold that line.
Maybe, but a lot of that stuff, think you have to go back and go, specificity is what heals or what makes the difference, and you have to have performance and function with that. And you can muddy it up with a whole bunch of shit that ain't relevant to get people off the course. And a lot of stuff that I do to help people is get those things out of the way.
Right.
So that they can let the truth come through.
Right.
Right. And we can go ahead and be mired up into like what the president says or what they're doing in Uganda. But all that does is take the focus off of the things that I need to clear up about myself.
Right.
So that I can be a fuller and more useful human for my community. Not so I can show people I'm the smartest guy in the room.
Right.
Not so I can do this or that. It's like, this is all, I'm the fish I got to catch.
Right.
Whatever everybody else does, man, that's up to them, man.
Right. And so in that same spirit, that's how I feel. Right. My mind works the way it works. And so I'm the fish I got to catch. And sometimes for me, that means I got to say the thing that's not going to make friends.
Okay.
And so that is also for me part of the truth.
It's a weird thing that your thing is like where I'm going to piss people off is the thing that you come. That's your primary thing. I'm a guy that pisses people off because I say the uncomfortable truth. It's not a guy that's going, I'm so attached to the truth that I'd like to explore that, and this is what I'm going to put out regardless, right? It's a different mindset.
No, it's not. Here's the thing. I've noticed that what I put out that is the truth, that is a little uncomfortable or combines two ideas that people don't traditionally associate together. Like, for instance, yes, what Tait is saying is good, but I can already see that other folks, not everybody, but some people are going to use this as another treatment to avoid. Okay. And my point is that's a warning for some people, maybe even you.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm not saying for sure. I'm saying maybe.
I'm just saying how crazy it is. You're down on this rabbit hole now. We're talking about late stage brain damage health where people are killing themselves.
Right.
And you're like, maybe you just need to be It's like
I didn't say that.
I
didn't say that.
A crazy position. Man.
I didn't say, Mr. Tait, all due respect, I didn't say that. All I said is I could see a lot of people, not you.
Okay.
And all I'm just warning.
Why would you want not anybody to go towards health?
I didn't say that.
Make sure it's not an excuse, you guys. Motherfuckers try stuff. It's Earth School. We're all trying on different shit and seeing how it goes for us. How it goes for you might be different than me. I'm not even saying this is a thing everybody should do.
Right.
I'm just saying if you're at the fucking end stage of things, there's options for you.
Right.
And you're like, well, we got to explore that they're not a pussy first.
No, I didn't say.
We've already ascertained.
I did not
These
say
are
that
war
they
fighters. These are people that have taken off
I did not
more
say that.
in life than most people.
I like it.
Hold on.
This is part of the uncomfortable
crazy.
stuff, not want to be a friend stuff that he says that we need on the show.
Hold on a second, Mr. Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher,
talking about.
first a second. I did not say anyone was a pussy. I didn't say that. You put that in my mouth.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Okay.
And what I was saying is I was raising the possibility for some people to think about it for themselves. I wasn't saying everyone who does it is a pussy. Okay. I wasn't saying no one should do it.
I didn't say any of those things either.
Right. And that's why I was actually contributing to the conversation and saying, adding to what you were saying. I wasn't challenging what you were saying.
I like it. I like both of these guys' positions. I get both of their positions. Now we're going to move over.
Wait. Hold on.
Wait, no, Sean. Go ahead, Sean.
Go ahead. Say your thing, John.
I wanted to. I've been thinking about this ever since you guys started this diatribe. But I wanted to know what, like, when on your first session, like, what were the results that you felt? Like, what happened? What did you start to notice that was like a result of the therapy?
So the Wednesday before I'm riding around in my truck, I'm going to shoot myself in the chest. That's it. Talk to a guy Thursday, tell him that. 2 different guys. And just because it's just like, and it's just passing weather, because brain damage is like everything is passing weather. You can't attach to any of these emotions too much. You just watch it happen. And so I'm pretty much at an extreme end is why I say that about that Thursday, right? And then I make this appointment. I get to the clinic on Monday, Sunday night, whatever. Monday morning I go in and I start doing it. And they ask you questions every morning. They go,
are you skeptical at all when this happens, when you get the treatment?
yeah. I mean, I'm not hopeful.
What made you?
I don't have any hope. I've got full depression. I don't have any sense that life's going to get better.
But
No light at the end of the tunnel.
Hold on, but what was the thing that made you go anyway? You didn't have hope, but you still went for treatment.
It was co-signed by
Yeah,
his
I'm
lawyer.
at the fucking end of my life, and I'm going, if you can do something, then you ought to. And this was something that was right in front of me at that time.
Right.
And so it was the same way that I got to the last brain clinic, because I couldn't hold on much more, and I go, okay, I'll go, and whatever. And so that's what brought me there. Anyway, I go through this irritability checklist, depression, hopelessness, physical pain. There's a battery of questions every morning to track you. Scale of 1 to 10, where you land. Everything's 6s, 8s, whatever. Monday, Tuesday, 5, 6, I don't know. People are like, oh, how do you feel? It's like, it's fucking weird to be able to describe that then to somebody, or like, oh, I don't know, I feel a lot of different ways inside of 10 minutes, like, fuck. Anyway, so they're looking at these broad scope changes, and irritability is a huge one. And but by Wednesday, I start feeling so much better. Like, I was like, I feel clear, and like I feel like my thoughts are like crisp, and I feel and I don't want to say shit, because fucking everything I've ever done in order to stay alive since the time I got hurt until then has been just trying to breathe in hope, and trying to get to a place where it's like, do you even feel like you want to be a part of this at all? Like, all that. Anyway, I get up, and I'm not telling my mom, I'm not getting anybody's hopes up. I'm not doing any of that. I'm in a hotel, and I'm fucking by myself, and I get up the next morning, 6 in the morning, I'm fucking walking the bathroom, the hotel, fucking big smile, like a real happiness on my face. 6:30 in the morning. What the fuck? Fucking weirdo. Fucking get in the fucking shower. Fucking smiling in the bathroom at 6 in the morning. And I get in the shower, and then fucking soaping up, and I go, start going through these questions. And I go, where is that depression? Where is that at? This cloak that I've had ever since I can ever remember. And it just wasn't there. It was like there's always a part of me. And then it was separated and somewhere else. And I was like, that is odd. I go in the clinic, and so it was like that kind of thing. And then by that Sunday, I called the guys that had helped me and brought me there. The one guy owns the center, and I just go, I don't know what's happened, but it's a different mind than I've ever been able to ever see life with ever before. And to me, it's been miraculous in that way. What I also have seen there with that, they treat autistic kids also, bro. And I see these kids that are fucking savage, fucking crazy, hitting mom, screaming, running, all that. And big, heavy 4-year-olds like that are like
right,
considerable if you're a mom.
Right,
and,
of course.
And in the waiting room, and like, oh my God, that's a lot of energy. I'm brain damaged already, and I got this fucking kid running at me like a bowling ball down the hall. And I go in, and whatever, I do my treatment, I leave, and when I come back up, I fucking left my glasses, so I go back upstairs, see the same mom and her little boy, and they're walking on the steps, and she's going, 1, 2, dos, and they're hand in hand skipping down the steps together, learning to count.
Totally different.
And he's completely calm and reset, and I thought, this is fucking amazing. So I was like, not only my own experiences that were like that, but then I was seeing it also around me. And so there's, in this clinic, it's dudes that look like fucking me. There's like huge fucking warfighter guys mostly are who's in there, and then these little kids and benefits. Like, it's crazy what we don't know about the brain.
When did you let yourself feel relief? Like when you finally said, I think this is a thing.
I still don't know. I've so much been just in the unfolding of the process of seeing like, what can build on this, you know? And I'm only just right now starting to see, there could be a good life that you could build out of this, and you could have health.
Right.
You know? But yeah, that mental health it's because you vary, you know. Sometimes you feel good, but like those drops, they're not there anymore. Like they where I used to live.
Right.
You know, and so that's real different. And then I think, you know, then is the starting ground, and then that's where you can put good work and discipline and start to rebuild and exact yourself. Because part of the thing that we're talking about going through this stuff, the reason that is that I lived my life in a certain fucking way that would make most other men fucking pale and piss themselves.
What would that be?
My whole history has been that. We can talk about that at another time or whatever, but that's what it's been.
Yeah.
And then you get into a position where you've hurt yourself like this,
Yeah.
in this way.
Yeah.
And all that stuff, you don't know who you're not any of that anymore. Could I even be strong again? All that kind of shit and it doesn't matter who you've been every fucking day of your life up until that point.
Yeah.
But when the shell gets shattered,
Right.
and everything leaks out, what's left? And that's what we're talking about rebuilding from. It's not a thing about like just nut up and feel better. It's
right.
It's not that.
Well, I agree with that, because what I'm saying is that I'm not talking about the shell. When I talk about what we avoid in life, I'm talking about what's inside. Like I'm not a big guy. My shell is not.
That's a different thing, though. That's a whole different conversation. You can't even see what I'm talking about.
I do see what you're talking about.
Okay, but you think that, and you will say that readily instead of going and exploring. I wonder why he would think that I wouldn't think that. The idea that you think that you know so many things is amazing to me. It's like we're living in a mystery, brother.
I believe that.
And mystery, what this has been the most baffling thing I've ever done. And you're like, nope, I know what that is. And maybe.
Listen. I
got to jump in and
hold
say,
on,
though,
hold on.
I do believe that Chumahan knows a lot of shit.
Hold on a second.
And I'm not disregarding that.
I'm just
saying this is a very specific thing
Absolutely
that has been a mystery to me.
Listen, Tait, I don't mean any disrespect, and I'm not saying I know what you've been through. I'm not saying that. Right. I am definitely not saying that to you.
Okay.
I am saying that when I'm talking about whatever, generally speaking, especially when it comes to men. And you got done talking about when the shell breaks and things leak out outside.
Yeah, your container. It's like your container that you build life in. Yeah.
Right. And I'm saying like around me anyway. I'll just say my own experience.
Yeah, that's best.
Okay. In my own experience, right? The hardest things that I've had to deal with in my life have not been physical challenges for me. Mm-hmm. The hardest things that I've had to deal with is what's been on the inside, what it is that I've been running from.
Sure.
Where I came from,
sure.
Who I thought I was versus what I was really showing up.
Yep.
And I'm saying that, like, to me, that is just as tough, let's say, or whatever. I'm not even interested in putting it on scales.
You're talking about a formation of life of a human. All those things you're talking about, that's human existence, human experience that happens.
Totally, 100%.
You don't feel there's any need for that conversation in this conversation.
Different things.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right. And I agree with you. And I'm just bringing that part of it to this conversation just so that it's there in the background. But I'm not suggesting.
Yeah, none of it's easy. Nobody's saying that.
Right. I agree with that. I mean,
it's all hard. It's just different levels. There's not like, I would never even say, oh, the biggest things I've ever surmounted weren't physical. They were emotional, this or that. Bullshit. You're a liar. Everything is hard. Everything's hard at every fucking time because the only moment is right now. And when right now is fucking hard, whether that's physical, whether that's a heartbreak, whether that's I lost my dog, it absorbs the whole fucking moment.
Right.
So there ain't nothing worse than that. We're in the moments, you know.
Right.
So like then,
right.
You go, how do I stay in an eternal moment?
Right.
That is more fortified, right? How do I get back to that? Something like that.
I think. I mean, listen. What you're sharing with us is enlightening in the sense, especially that we don't know very much about the brain, right?
We don't know much. Yeah. But it's amazing what you brought up early on when you were talking about the alpha, the different waves, is that those kinds of, like, That's why I trip out, because I look at the autistic, I look at all this shit, and I go, what are they going to know in 5 years? It's really, it's such a hopeful fucking time, you know, in that way.
It is, but it's corresponding with a big change in so many things in our lives.
Totally.
Right? There's things that have been the same for like 100 years, it seems like, that in the next 5 probably will never be the same.
Right.
A completely different thing.
100%. Even you think about the ways people hit a lick nowadays, you know, like everything's like quick. Like you look at a guy like Richard Branson or something like that, and he is traversed so many fucking things that have fallen away.
Right.
Video cassettes.
Right.
Cassette tapes.
Right.
DVD. Like whole industries that have fucking fallen out and died.
Right.
And he's pivoted. And so like right now I look at this time too, and this great big pivot as I'm coming to here, and I'm like, we're in the biggest pivot of my life.
This
you know,
is
in ways that is like crazy.
I agree. And I think this, like I was just reading another book about a jewel thief who had a very long career, right? Mm-hmm. And he retired because the nature of robbing and stealing from a physical location, totally different now.
Yeah.
And that the big scores aren't even breaking into a physical place anymore. The big scores are breaking into like a cyberspace or something like that. Right, exactly. Right. And so he's just out of the game. He never got arrested, and he never had to do a lot of time.
But that crime kind of almost doesn't exist anymore.
Exactly.
In a way, yeah. It's a trip like that, you know? And then this whole shifting that's happened, I think that's shaken the core of everybody is, you know, I was talking to Lux the other day, and like like what really enlivened me is when George Floyd got murdered. And then, you know, and then watching everything that happened, you know, and that COVID, what a crazy thing as far as like a presentation of like, here's a brand new life that, you know, and here's also what got shaken for me was my whole history, right? Not my whole history. Like I known, you know, yeah, the U.S., we're the biggest gang there is. We're the baddest motherfuckers that are out there.
Right.
We go take what we want. The problem I got with it is that when they tell me that they got weapons of mass destruction, why don't you just say you want to do a smash and grab on Iraq? You just destabilize the area because we don't want them to get powerful.
Right. That's right.
Just say that.
That's right.
Just be honest with me.
That's
you know
right.
What I mean, you don't got to tell me that we're being virtuous.
He's right.
Like, you know,
He's
like
right.
that's the part that's so offensive. And like I've just always been against the government. I think the government is always you know, I mean, motherfuckers got power. You need to have your throat on the hand of power. And so whoever's in office, if you got a T-shirt on that's got that dude's face on, you're a jackass.
Right.
You should have your fucking hand around the neck of power all the time. It doesn't mean we want to squeeze it tight, but we want to let them know we're there.
Yeah.
Right?
I like
Right.
that.
That's what you have to do in this life. And so we're seeing this kind of position get shifted. And then we're like, well, never before have I seen, you know, the history, representative democracies, whatever, they last like 300 years.
Yeah.
We're at like 240, something like
Right.
that, right? We're not. And what happens? What also happened? They turned into some kind of crazy fascism, and I don't really even like to say fascism because everybody got a different idea of what that means.
That's true.
Misuses
You're
it
right.
and fucking whatever.
You're
So
right. You're
anyway,
100% right.
But all that shit, man, when you look at that, when have you ever seen bootlickers that just are like, yeah, the state, that's my guy. That's all these dudes with flags in the back of the truck.
Yeah, but
that's what's going on right
what's
now.
crazy-
And that's right before the fall of every democracy throughout history.
What's crazy about what you're
It's crazy.
saying is
And they think
that
they're patriots.
what's crazy about what you're saying is number one, they think they're patriots.
Yeah.
Right? They don't know what happened in World War II.
Yeah.
Right? Like we fought the fucking Nazis.
And then they want to talk about like the Confederate flag or something. You talk about stuff like that. I looked into it then. They're like, it's our history, our pride, this and that. You know, it was flying for like 2 years over Alabama or wherever the fuck it was, right? And then it went to sleep for 100 years.
Right.
And then in the 60s, it got a resurgence
Right.
because of the civil rights movement. And they're like, fuck that. And they want to raise their Confederate flag. That's what the fuck happened.
That's true.
And that's what all those statues that are up, that's all that was a fight back against
Civil rights. That's exactly right. Not only that, there were southern states that put together senators, of which LBJ was one of them that helped deal with them. But these senators, like what you got Mitch McConnell in Kentucky, these are old stand guards, and the Senate rules were set up to slow the change in the United States down. And that's what they did. The civil rights tried to pass 6-7 times, and they got voted down every single time. And it wasn't until after the assassination of JFK at LBJ that the pressure was on that they finally allowed it to go in. And even then, they had considered it slightly watered down from what they really wanted to do. And they've been working since that time to roll it all back.
Right.
And that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Well, the
Them trying to roll
funny
back.
thing when you see the downstream effects of it too, when you look at it, you go, you look at little weird things like the only time that the NRA ever didn't stand up for gun rights
Right.
was when the Black Panthers went to the state capitol. in
That's right.
Sacramento.
That's right.
It's the only time.
That's right.
But if you want to imagine a situation when a group that is so fervent and so fucking passionate
Right.
about guns
Right.
goes it. Just look into the one time they didn't, and you tell me that we're not in a society of white supremacy that's built on white supremacy and imperialism, like everywhere else in the world that's come through that goes to dominate brown and black people, and that's just the truth of what that is. And that's the expression of Carnegie. That's all our heroes that built America,
That's true.
Rockefellers, all those guys. They had that. They were so strong that those were the first antitrust things we had to do was to fight against Rockefeller,
Right.
the guy that built our country,
Right.
our railways, our everything. We had to fight to fucking cut his legs off.
Right.
So that's what government has. That's what I mean about having a hand in the throat of government. We need to be able to control these things that before they become so powerful that we're out of control. And right now you look at it and say if Atlas shrugs, like Instagram shrugs, what happens to all those millionaires? How many people do you know are millionaires just because of Instagram? If that one private company decides to change their shit,
Right.
you've changed the economy of the world.
Right.
Like, so it's a crazy, crazy time that we're in, and there's nobody that is in charge. There's no adults in the room. You know what I mean? When 2016 happened,
Look at the president.
I was like, let's just
Jesus
wait for an
Christ.
adult to come in the room.
Right.
And it's like,
They never came.
They're having a big dick contest.
Right.
70-year-old dudes are having big dick contests
Right.
on stage going, you got little hand. I'm like, this is leadership? Like, what the actual fuck?
But the thing that really upsets me or kind of scares me even more is that the Trump roadshow was so bad,
The road show.
right? That we're ready for the status quo again. Like we're almost
Well, that's what we went back to. And so that's the thing, too. When I say that, I want to say fuck Biden and Kamala Harris, too.
Right.
Like all the reason he is there is because they just wanted status quo. 50-year guy. He's a 50-year team player.
Right.
And he's not going to disrupt shit.
Right.
The thing about Kamala, I hope that she gets awakened. She's like, I made some bad decisions when I was AG or whatever
Right.
the deal is.
There's a lot of people in prison.
I was a woman of color
Right.
that was coming up.
Right.
And I just went with the status quo.
Right.
They rolled over me, and I played ball.
I had to.
But now I'm in power in a different way, and I go, I don't have to play myself like that anymore. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe she'll grow it. I don't know. But regardless, somebody need to have their hand on those people's throats.
And here's the thing. The part that upsets me more than anything is that you're right when you're saying like a white supremacy or whatever. But the problem is that there's a lot of people that think they're a part of that group that are being manipulated that aren't. Rich people.
Well, that's why I say it's an inside job.
Right.
I have to look. I mean,
There's a lot of
the
white
thing
people
is
I
this.
know that aren't benefiting from that
Look,
situation.
look to what you don't know. Always look. That's why I'm always concerned when somebody knows so much, right? It's like they're not even looking at their blind spots at all because they think they know some shit.
Yeah.
And that can be dangerous, you know.
Sure.
But you know, and so then I go, how do you do that? To look at it in your own life. What do you mean, you fucking arrogant asshole? Well, I'll tell you what I mean. Is that you look at it through the lens of TV and movies. And then you go back, you go the very first movie that was ever made, and there was a little bit they called The Klansman. And then they thought maybe we'll change the name, and they called it Birth of a Nation after.
Right.
And then that got played. It was the first movie ever got made. And it got played in Woodrow Wilson White House.
Right.
Got played in the White House.
Right.
And it was a movie about the Ku Klux Klan being basically like the
Vigilantes,
Avengers.
yeah.
Right. Righting
Like
the wrong.
Avengers that came in to save you from the black man that was raping your wife,
Right.
the Mexican, and
Right.
da-da-da-da-da. And there's all that. And that's the way that was. And that was even at a time when they wouldn't put black people in films. They would put them in blackface.
Right.
To represent.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that's a deep propaganda, a deep state propaganda.
For sure.
That's been coming on since the first time television came out. Then the next time you see black, you watch Step and Fetch It or something.
Right.
And you go, oh, he's in an apartment just like fucking we live in. No, he's not. they're showing you an idea like the Jefferson. That's not
not
the
real.
Black Ghetto.
Right.
That's not.
Well,
and so
what you say? It was important for us to have media to
Right.
be able to do this, right?
Right.
Because
and now we got media, but to look at it and to deconstruct it, right? Is
Right.
what I mean, and to go back and go, here's all the places I was fooled. How come I never heard of Tulsa, Oklahoma, in 1921
Right.
until May of this year?
Right.
How come me, as a free American that's
Right.
educated, I've never fucking heard of that?
Right.
Why don't I know about the 1680 Pueblo
see, this is the
Revolt in
same
New
thing
Mexico?
that Chumahan's talking about when he talks about the stories he wants to tell. He wants to tell the real American history.
And that's what we need to do. Is right like these next years. I mean, me being in film and like where I want to go is I want to be in that expression of truth. And it's not in a way to degrade people or go, oh, white people are bad or this or that.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yep.
I'm saying, I believe, I come from fucking, I'm going to crush you and fucking outlast you and fuck you, man. I'm gonna be more resilient and I'm fucking relentless.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to fucking keep up. I'm going
Right.
to work through
Right.
you.
Right.
I've always had that. I understand what John Rockefeller felt.
Right.
I get it.
Right.
But at the same point, when you get to a certain amount of evolution of yourself and of your society, do you not want to? Why did we stop reaching for better things?
Right.
Right. That's the thing that I don't understand about all my brothers and sisters that are out there with whatever flags in the back of their truck or whatever the fuck is going on. But why can you not understand that your black brothers and sisters are looking through different eyes and that America that is expressed to you is very fucking different? Why isn't that even interesting to you? You already know. More people that already just know.
Right.
Why aren't you willing to look at it through these other people's eyes that we clearly can't know about? Because we know that twins will grow up next to each other. They'll have the same experiences, and they'll both have way different psychic outputs of what that meant for them.
Sure.
Let alone fucking this whole race thing where people have been subjugated, railroaded, and whitewashed into being rapists and killers and criminals for forever, to where they create fear in police. That's why the police brutality is not the police's fault. They are built for that from this downstream effect of white supremacy that we're all built upon. And they're taught to be terrified. Biden, Hillary Clinton, all those guys in '94, they did that crime bill.
Yep.
And then they did a thing where they called them super predators. If you're a young black kid, they said Hillary Clinton went on TV. If you're between 13 and 50, they get expressed this super predator gene. And now you've got these little boys. I was listening to this guy. Fucking, he wrote about a black guy, and he says I was that age at that time in New York City. Yeah. And I started to get terrified, and I would cry to my mom, what is this terrifying thing going to come out of me? So even black people themselves
We're ingesting it.
colored
Right.
by this thing.
They're in fear of their own
And
selves,
so
right?
that's why you have this fucking coward police officer.
Right.
And I don't say coward in a bad way, but he's terrified of this thing because he's been viewing this image as the devil ever since forever, and he doesn't even know it.
But to add on to that,
making a good decision.
to add on to what you're saying is the police that we have today are not the police that we had before. We are underpaying and overworking these people. They have to work overtime hours to make ends meet, the cops. And
join everybody that works at Walmart and everything.
I
else,
get
you know?
it, but
if I sign on to LAPD,
I'm not making.
Don't I get a $50,000 bonus right now? Today?
I'm not making an excuse for police.
money.
I'm not making an excuse, but what I am saying is that we have since the 80s,
right?
Your hourly wage has meant less and less and less, and that affects the guy at Walmart. That affects
that affects me in the film business.
It affects everybody.
That's
But then
ubiquitous.
we brainwash the cop. Then we don't properly train the police.
We do properly train them. I saw a guy at a dead run in the dark, put his taser, transfer it over, redraw his weapon on a dead run against a man in a dead run in the dark, and he dropped him dead. That's good training.
You mean
nobody shoots like that?
Right.
That's good training.
Okay.
I saw another guy. I saw another guy. He's running across a parking lot. He looked like a guy that they wanted to maybe look for. They didn't know, and they all pull up. The guy pulls his rifle. Couldn't wait to get his M4 out. Puts his rifle again, and then boop, boop, right through his chest, man. Like from 150 yards away.
Perfect training.
Good training.
Now listen.
So my point is this: is that the training is not the problem. The problem is that what you teach their eyes to look at.
Right.
You're always looking to escalate. There's never a cop I met in my life
Right.
that doesn't escalate a
Well,
situation.
that's what I mean by not properly trained.
Right.
That's what I mean by not
But
properly trained.
That's why I like to put a specificity to it, because
Sure.
everybody says that, and they're like, we'll teach them all jiu-jitsu. I'm like, guys with this consciousness,
Right.
I don't want them to know how to fight
Right.
better.
And I'm agreeing with you saying that the next level policing that's required is to train them how to de-escalate situations, contain situations, and to understand what indoctrination they've maybe gone through in a passive situation in society.
We can't even admit as a whole
That's wrong.
that black people and white people are treated different. That's how crazy regressed we are as a whole.
Right.
We
Yeah,
can't even
it's-
admit that. It's
way
obvious
deeper than that.
things.
It's way deeper than that. And when you did hit on a good subject, I was hearing that professor that I told you about from Georgetown,
Yeah.
and he was talking about there's a fear that's been planted in everybody's head about the black man.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason that there's so much black on black crime is that the blacks too have received all this information.
Absolutely.
Them themselves
That's right.
are in fear
That's
of
right.
their own
That's
like
right.
that's deep
So that's-
psychological fucking.
That's like
you
that
know?
Candace Owen and all those race
Right.
apologists
Yep.
they always talk about. And,
Right.
and it came clear to me around June of this year. I saw, I don't know, you guys follow Trick out of Detroit. He's a old school Detroit guy, solid, respected in the neighborhood. And he's going off about, it was after Ahmaud Arbery was murdered, right? And they didn't, I don't know how long, was it a month? It took a long time to arrest those guys.
Right. They took
Right?
forever.
They live streamed a stalking and a murder.
Right.
And they're free. And so he's putting a video and he's like, these motherfuckers down in Atlanta, you guys all want to buck on each other because like you got, a lot of different rap groups are beefing. There's bodies behind that shit. There's
Right.
people
Right,
getting dropped.
right.
Chicago, war
Right.
zone. He goes, how come you guys aren't going down there? The devil is right down the street from you.
Exactly.
The devil's right
Right.
down the street and you don't touch him, but you're out there killing each other. What the fuck? And he's incensed.
Yeah.
And I go, he's not seeing the same thing Candace isn't seeing.
Right.
And that is that the black life is valueless. You can kill and hurt the black skin with impunity in
Right.
America.
Right.
But if they go down the street and a guy that live murdered their brother is still free, they can't touch him.
They can't touch
because
him.
he's got white skin.
Right.
Right.
And that's so when people are like, oh, the blacks got to clean up their own. No, you've devalued. That's the thing.
Right.
That's the psychological twist.
They can get away with a black murder,
that I
but you
wish
can't get away with
that's
one
what
murder.
would give me hope is if we could all twist into that. Just
Right.
That's one simple. I couldn't think of an argument against it. Where's the lie?
What even adds to what you're saying is that the guy in Tennessee who blew up a fucking RV, right? He's a white dude, and his girlfriend a week ahead of time told the cops that my boyfriend is building an RV with bombs in it to blow it up, and the cops didn't even check it out. But Floyd writes a bad check, and they fucking choke him out right on the spot.
Did he blew himself up, that guy in Nashville?
Yeah.
He was in the truck, right?
Yeah.
And so that was him live on the speaker saying, stand back. If
Yeah.
you can hear this. I thought it was a recording that he left.
But it's just crazy to me that you could tell the cops that a white guy's building a bomb in an RV in Tennessee, and they'll be like, well, I mean.
You look at the verbiage that they use, right? They don't, there's never a word terrorist.
Right.
There's never internal terrorist.
Right.
There's none of that.
Right.
And that's clearly.
Like Timothy McVeigh, they never say he's a
the word
terrorist.
right?
Even though he blew up a whole fucking.
I mean, and you can't tell me that out of all the different people that are writing stories and this and that, it's like, no, we only use this. It's like they have a rule. Only use this vernacular for this type of person.
Of course.
This for this.
Of course.
And it's like that, all
Right.
of a sudden the difference between the shooter, and the alleged shooter gets real big.
Well, this is why politically correct in some ways actually allowed this regression to get exacerbated, because it seemed like because we decided that we were going to speak a certain way, and I'm not saying we should be mean to each other. That's not what I'm saying, but I am saying that we thought it seemed like a large society, a part of society, thought the job was done because we weren't using certain words anymore. Right. And then this other ugliness kept growing and building.
I think that's what embarrassed me, Chumahan.
What?
It's like when I got present to that, when I started looking into the different things, Tulsa, Oklahoma, a lot of the Jim Crow laws, what had happened after the war. What had happened was that we blossomed. Our African-American community of voters in Louisiana was 50,000. 5 years after that, it was 5,000.
Right.
Because they just shifted the law. They go, oh, poor white and poor black are the same. They're uniting against the power structure.
Right.
Fuck that.
Right.
And so they made Jim Crow laws, and they made them lesser people without saying you're 3/5 of a human, right?
Right.
And that started, and then they started doing, because of the 13th Amendment, which says, 13th, that all men are free and equal. There's no slavery unless you're a criminal.
Right.
And so then they started arresting black men on nominal charges.
That's right.
And then they would rent them back to their previous plantation owner at
That's
a reduced rate. And they became, and so, but the point is like, this imperialism, we're built upon slavery, and it's still ongoing today in the country. Of course, there's horrible things in other parts of the world, blah, 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 blah. But like,
we're talking about America right now.
Whacking huts getting furniture made by dudes in the pen or whatever, it's like
Dude,
all that shit's going on.
You know what? It's not only that, but I get embarrassed because.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say I was embarrassed also because I thought it was done. I'm a kid growing up. I'm hearing about the murders in Atlanta. I'm hearing racial strife all through. I've watched Roots when I was like,
right.
That affected me as a 10-year-old. Like, holy fuck. And you see all that stuff and you go, I thought we were so much further than where they are. And then you're just seeing all this stuff. They can live murder. They're showing it. It's just like they did JFK. Oh,
right,
no.
Right.
Oh, do you want to speak out about the military-industrial
right.
complex? We can just do you right here in front of everybody.
That's right.
Everybody's going to see
exactly
you.
Right.
We're going to lie. And that's the other thing, too. People are like, conspiracy theories. They're not. Motherfucker, they live murdered JFK on TV.
In front of you.
Live murdered him on CSI. If I leave a nose hair,
Right.
find me.
They got
Right.
that motherfucker.
We live murdered him from different angles.
Not only that,
Nobody's looking into it, you guys.
Not only that's exactly right. Not only that, but we captured the guy that we claimed did it, and then some guy was able to walk up out of the thing, Jack
Blue.
Ruby, and fucking
And
kill
shoot
him. And he
A high-level mobster.
right. And that's why I try to tell people, I'm like, they want you to have conspiracy theories. They want your mind.
They want confusion.
They want not only confusion, fear, and acknowledgement that they have the power to do it with impunity.
Hey, did you see Trump? He made a address last night, I think.
No.
He's like, we're going to go to the wall with this, with every constitutional and legal way we can. And he goes through, they've stolen votes here. You can see this. Look at there's a box under the table. That proves it. And he's showing video. Like, he did this whole crazy thing last night.
Yeah. I didn't watch it. And, listen, and a lot of people.
Fuck Trump.
Are we really going to have
Fuck Donald Trump.
Are we going to change presidents? Are we going to,
is this motherfucker going to leave or what?
Are we still going to have, are we going to have a war?
No, there's not going to be a war.
Okay.
This is what I think.
Because, wow.
This is what I think. I'm starting to believe. Now, listen, this is way out. So you guys can just tell me I don't know too much, blah, blah, blah. But this is what I'm starting to think now. Number one, we spent so much time thinking of Trump as the useful idiot for Putin, but rarely do the newspapers ever say, you know what? This is actually the useful idiot for the CIA and the NSA. Why would he be a useful idiot just to Putin? Why wouldn't he be a useful idiot to the powers that be here? Yeah. And I do believe that his response to COVID, and I think that his whole get down has been set up to kill a lot of people. I mean, he is like, when you think about the people that don't want to wear a mask, right? They all have cell phones and they know the NSA is listening. We've all accepted that. We've all accepted that we don't have any freedom. We got a cell phone and we have enslaved Chinese. And I don't care if you're the most liberal blue fucking whatever, you're part of making poor Chinese people build little fucking electronic, right?
For the resources that it takes for connectivity for your microprocessors on your phone, they mine that out of the Congo,
right?
And that's a full-on slave culture.
Totally,
here's one
100%.
Banana at the end of the day,
100%,
and you're chained up, and
100%.
It's like that. And they're little people. They're like the pygmies that
right.
do it, and they're the oppressed group by the bigger tribe, the tribe right. of regular-sized people,
right,
who are getting the money,
who are, and it's all tribal warfare. And this is where the highest levels of all our digital media and everything comes from. Is from this. I mean, and I don't care if you have a BlackBerry or iPhone. It
doesn't matter.
Shit.
It's all the
we're
same
all part
shit.
Of that.
Yeah, we're all a part of it. Like nobody.
There's a lot we got to swallow.
Right. Nobody can be. I can't even say I'm above that. I got a fucking cell phone right here.
Not even you.
Right.
It's embedded so deep.
Right.
It's
not
ingrained.
even me.
It's ingrained. It's just ingrained.
So my point is, though, is that I do think part of he's bringing too many people together to catch COVID and kill off to have a major transfer of wealth.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what numbers are. I don't know what anything means. There's such a, they call this the post-truth era. So it's really hard to know. Like what I thought from the very beginning, I thought COVID doesn't seem super dangerous, but it's got a hell of a PR agency behind it. Right? I mean, the first guys we hear about, Idris Elba and Tom Hanks, biggest stars in the world. It's got the best PR agent. Oh, be scared. Da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And there's this dissemination from royalty and from the highest levels of film in America. Like that seems so weird, except if you were a PR stunt. And so that's how I started looking at it. And then I go, not a lot of people more people are dying from shark bites. Like this seems weird.
Right.
And so like, what are we all in? And then if you have questions, all of a sudden you're, I don't know, politically people make all these things mean all these different things or whatever. But it's like, can't we just all agree that you guys, everybody lies a lot here, and it's hard to know what the fucking truth is, right?
So that's true.
And then I go, so what do you know about the numbers in different states? Like, so there's like, I think it's Alabama and Florida that continually forever have said, fuck this, we're not doing any of it.
Right.
We're not closing, we're not fucking putting masks on, we're not doing that shit.
Right.
What are their numbers versus places that are the same population density that are really careful and fastidious? Because it seems like it doesn't matter. It seems like the numbers, is that true though? Because I don't know. Like, is Florida's numbers not any more crazy than somewhere else that's populated just the same density as Florida?
Well, I mean, look at us in LA. I mean, we're the highest in the nation.
And we were supposed to be the most careful.
I mean, we shut down almost everything. Everything.
Yeah. Except stuff that makes sense, which is weird. Like when you look at Costco is open and they put 20,000 people through that building every day. I'm like, that it seems crazy that you all are under the delusional belief that, I mean, if things aren't safe other places, that you think that that's safe there is an insanity.
Well, the other part of it is that if you think of just our country, there's a lot of questions, but the questions even mount more when you start thinking like the rest of the world's in on it too then.
Of course.
Right? And you got the Germans and everyone else. And so
Italy was one of the worst, I think.
Right. But so like, are they all working together to create this problem?
Well, you gotta, I don't know any of that. But what I do know is that like the Rothschilds Bank is the national bank for every country in the world, except for like 7 countries which are deemed as terrorist states, like Iran, Libya, things like
North
that.
Korea,
down in South America, Hugo Chavez is shit like that. And those people, they also have the same interesting tie-in is that they all also said to the world banks when they said we'll assuage all of your national debt if you sign over your country's resources to us.
Right.
And every one of those countries that said no, they're on the terrorists. And so what I'm saying is that there's banks, there's groups of people that do run a lot of stuff. And I don't know what any of that looks like.
Hold on, that's interesting though, because what you're saying then is that from a financial perspective, a lot of these countries are working together.
Well, when you think about it and you go, when you get those real rich people that you pull a Rothschilds out or a fucking whoever, a Carnegie descendant or something, those people, when they talk about wealth, they're like, they could pay the salaries of every American for 460 years.
Right.
Or something like that.
Right.
They have these crazy things that they put up like
a
that.
level you don't, that we could never understand.
No. And so there's like, I don't know how many people.
Right.
Like, is there 7 people that are that rich? Is there a dozen? There's like something like that. There's this fucking very potent group. I'm sure they have dinner together. That's
I would if I was that rich. If I was that rich,
they're the only ones that understand each other.
I actually believe that it's bigger number than 7, probably.
Yeah,
and I believe
whatever.
but I believe that, like for instance, royalty has never really gone away, right?
Tell me that the Kennedys are not American royalty,
right? And tell me that the Queen really doesn't have a say in what goes on.
Oh, very powerful,
right?
Right, yeah.
And she has her own island,
Isn't that
Isle
a
of
crazy
Man.
thing too is that she says they talk about that power, like the Parliament makes these decisions and everything, and what does the Queen do? She's there as an air of mystery.
Right.
She's the magic trick that you don't get to figure out how they do the trick.
So it's not
so her whole job is to be isolated and removed and just look away.
And she in part of tradition, she meets with the prime minister once a week, right?
Yeah.
From Parliament.
Right.
And she owns so much private property around the world. She even has her own currency in certain islands that are not a part of the United Kingdom. Right? And it's absolutely true. And the thing is like, you're telling me, right? And there's no transparency. Nobody gets to see what she's saying or any of that stuff. And you're telling me that she has no power.
Or you look at all that stuff. You look at the Falkland Islands back in the 80s, with
Right.
Reagan and shit.
Right.
And that was just like some shit. That's disputes over some shit. Like, we were here and we say we own this. And then some other people are like, no, we live here, motherfucker.
Right.
Like, we're going to send some ships.
Yeah.
And it's like that type of shit. Oh, and it's all based back. It goes back into this imperialism.
Right.
So when you're talking about she got islands that got different currency, of course, they went to try to dominate fucking, they were the Alexander the Greats that won most recently.
Right.
Is the UK.
That's exactly right. And it makes you wonder why they decided on Brexit. Because I was talking to some people from Italy.
And aren't they sad about it now? I
Well,
mean, that's threw their country into a
somehow,
poverty center.
their country. But are the royals really sad about?
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm with you on those questions. And in fact, I read this book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Did you read that?
Yeah.
And when I read that, it was a mind blower.
Smart guy.
I was like, wow, I can't believe that. And that makes total sense.
If you're listening, if you look up that title, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, there's an animated little 4-minute thing that goes with it that explains it real clearly and is fucking really illuminating.
By John Perkins. That's a great book because it shows you how these guys would go to these third world countries, tell them like, oh, you're going to have exponential growth. And
Let's put a Coca-Cola here.
Right. And they took out these loans from the IMF.
Yep. And then also we gave all your people diabetes. Sorry.
Right. Oh, but guess what? We got the cure.
Africa and gave everybody AIDS as well.
Yeah.
Well, and by the way, we've got all the right medicine to cure diabetes or to help you with your insulin levels. Right. Get you on a subscription. Yeah. Listen.
Look at man.
I could talk to Tait all fucking day.
And we got to have Tait on.
We've had everybody leave the room.
Yeah.
Me and Chumahan
Yeah.
here. Everybody's at different points.
You know what's
of the
crazy?
night. I got to take a break.
You know what? Listen, you want to know what's crazy, Tait, is that this whole time I've had your scene up from The Mandalorian, that opening scene.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've had it up because I want to talk to you about it because I gave up on Star Wars, personally. I love, Last Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and then after that, I'm like, I can't do it anymore. So people were like, see The Mandalorian. I go, all right, listen, I'll look at it. I go, who's this handsome guy in the beginning? But anyway, I watched it, and I'm into season 2, and it's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the old Star Wars, and
I think of it as like a outer space cowboy. It's like an outer space western,
like
with John Wick.
Right.
Is kind of what The Mandalorian is like.
It's crazy because I do get touches of Clint Eastwood's like westerns in
real
it.
swaggery shit. It's really cool.
So the opening scene is kind of like you're in this bar scene or whatever, and it's like dim and dingy and the fucking Mandalorian. If you don't know what the Mandalorian is, I'll let you find out. I won't tell you. But there's a scene, and I go, I know that guy. That's him. That's Tait talking.
Yeah.
That's Huttese, if you're wondering the language.
Huttese.
Listen, Huttese, Jabba the Hutt, right? Huttese.
I think that's maybe it's the same planet. Could be.
Tattoo. So Jabba the Hutt is a Hutt, right? And Huttese. Now, how did they get you to speak Huttese?
It's amazing. First I went and I read for that.
Yeah.
For this exact scene in English.
Right.
Basically. And then they called and fuck, man, it was one of those things. You know, you go in a fucking 100 times and I never think anybody's going to say yes.
Right.
I just go in, I do the work, I present, and then I bounce. Like, I can't be fucked with the outcome. I can't fuck with that. And so I will go in, I do the thing. A couple days later, I get a call, though. They go, hey, they loved you, man. And Favreau saw your thing. Jon Favreau, the great creator of Mandalorian.
Right.
And he goes, and he's got another part for you. And I go, what? And I go, fucking cool. And so I didn't know really what anything was. And then I go out to this place in the valley, man, where they do fabrications of, like, you know, the Shape of Water guy for all these creators, for Call of Duty guys. They make all the shit, everything, right? There's a huge 9-foot high Darth Vader and stormtroopers walking out of a corner that's like from the set of Star Wars. Like it's like this is the place, right?
Right. It's
Go
fucking
in, strip
badass.
naked. Here's Under Armour. Put the Under Armour tights on. Leave your bag in there. We lock the door. That's it. There's no camera. There's nothing here.
No shit.
And so I don't even know why I'm there. And then they come in and they fucking have this matte black fucking Boba Fett helmet. And I was like, oh fuck, that's fucking sick.
Yeah.
That's ill, right?
Yeah.
And it's me and like 12 people in this little room. It's getting fucking high. It'd be like if 12 people were in here and there's just a big mirror and then there's some props and shit around. And they go, so you don't know what you're doing yet or anything? I go, no, I have no idea. And they go, oh, this one guy was going to do it, but then he saw you and wants you to do this. And I knew the other guy, and I was like, oh, cool. It's Ben Affleck, Stuntman. I was like, fuck, man, I'm in good
Company.
Yeah.
Right.
And so anyway, they said, well, the biggest thing is we want you to see if this helmet fits. And I go, no shit. And so anyway, then they fit me out, and I become heavy infantry Mandalorian.
Right.
And so I become Paz Vizsla.
Paz Vizsla, that's right.
And so that's a whole nother character that I got out of that. But then, so I knew that was coming, but it took like a long time to build my suit. Like I was out there 4 or 5 times and different measurement. I mean, crazy.
How heavy was that suit? The Mandalorian suit?
What's on? I don't know. Maybe is it 20 pounds or is it 40? It depends if there's the jetpack is considerably heavier. Changes the way you sit.
I won't. For anyone who hasn't seen it, if you haven't seen it, you're crazy. But for anyone who hasn't, I won't ruin it. But what I will tell you is that Tait's like a big fucking Boba Fett like dude, right? And he starts talking shit and fucking. It's fucking badass scene.
It's cool because it goes through, culture and it goes through mythology.
Right.
And part of that mythology of that is that the Mandalorian had come into our den.
Right.
Of where we've all been hiding underground and all that. And we're a tribe of people of honor and integrity that's a war class people.
Right.
And who is this fucking new guy? You ain't walking like you don't know us. You ain't come up here. Who the fuck are you fake ass rapper?
Right.
And so then I brace him and then we have a little thing back and forth. Anyway, it's a whole nother relationship. But
right.
So there's a linguist that worked for George Lucas that built this whole like elfin language, Huttese.
Right.
And he's got, full of conjugations. It's like I learned it the way I would learn Latin or
right.
Spanish or something.
It's fucking badass.
Crazy. And then I go through there, then we do Zoom calls and he helps me out with like pronunciations and shit. And then on the day of, we read through it and he tightens up whatever he likes or doesn't like. And,
right.
And
because you're speaking it in there like you know it.
Dude, it's fucking sick. I was honored to do it. What a cool thing, man. Yeah, you're going to be the only human that speaks this crazy new language in Star Wars.
Right.
Like fucking anyway.
Dude, it's
how many? Let me ask you something. Besides Mandalorian, because people are just for the listeners, man. I've constantly got people going, dude, your boy Tait. I saw Tait. Give me like the role. Like, just give me the names of the last 5 movies you were in.
Project Power with Jamie Foxx just come out. It's on Netflix.
Right.
I played a guy named Wallace in that, and then the Mandalorian. Those couple of characters, that I got a great little piece in Jumanji.
Yeah, right.
Really good one.
Yeah. Everybody loved that.
Yeah, man. It's been like all that stuff. I got to be in Jurassic World. I had a great fight with Denzel's one of my favorite pieces of art, really, that's out there.
What is Fight Pride?
What's that?
What's Fight Pride?
Fight Pride.
It says it's in pre-production. It's called Fight Pride, and it seems like a project in there.
It's a guy that he sent a script, and he would like me to fuck with him, and so he put that on. And he's like, "You want to do that?" And I was like, "Well, we'll see if it works out." Or
now
whatever.
Tait Fletcher's the producer.
That was 2 years ago. Right. We'll see.
Produced by Tait Fletcher.
I'm as surprised as you are.
Okay, I was like, "Wow, what's Fight Pride?" Yeah. All right, very good. But here's the thing: in the Mandalorian, I don't know if you really understand this, but Tait Fletcher's immortalized because he's one of the few humans. He's in the front, so you're gonna recognize Tait when you see him in the bar, and that's like immortal. He's not just under a mask. Like a lot of people are like, Darth Vader's badass, but Darth Vader was like 3 people. Right? But you see Tait in the beginning, and he's like talking about beating up this fish dude. You're gonna cut off his glands and all this shit. That was dope, man.
Hey, you guys, listeners, see Mandalorian. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
And keep an eye out for Tait Fletcher.
And write in about Tait. Tell them more Tait.
More Tait. You want to write to them and tell them. More Tait. We like
yeah,
seeing
more
him.
Tait.
A lot of big things coming up for Tait. Brother, first off, do me a favor, Tait.
Yeah.
We cannot allow as much time to pass between you coming and updating.
I'll be here
us.
tomorrow.
Okay. Great. Tait, I love you, man. And I'm
love you
glad,
guys so much.
I'm
Thank
glad
you.
you're
Thanks for the
healing,
Thank
bro.
you.
You guys, at Tait Fletcher, you can find out what's going on with him. Brother, we are behind you.
Caveman Coffee.
On your growth, on your healing, on getting passes and working through it, man. We love you and we care about you, bro. We're here for you.
Thanks for holding me down, man, all this time. I love you so much.
Yeah, next
Yeah.
time we got to hear how you guys fucking came to know each other.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah, blessings. That's God.
Yeah.
That's God talk.
Right on.
As we do about this time, it's a adios amigos from the Hard Luck Show.
All right, thank you.
Y'all be well. Love each other, huh?
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Would you like to try a free sample of our double fudge brownie?
Oh, sure. That's very good. I'll just take one more, just to be sure. Yep, still very good.
Some things never change, like never being able to take just one free sample. And Geico saving folks lots of money on their car insurance.
Is that macadamia nut I taste? Let me take one more.
Sir,
Yeah, I thought so.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.